1. For context, I work in a furniture store as the office manager. The daughter recently placed an order with us that is over $12,000. She is moving into a new home, but it won't be ready until September at the earliest. She didn't have the address at the time of purchase, but knew the area was close to her mother's, so we used her mother's address for a place filler. That's fine. We can hold the items up to a year, and as long as the new address was on the same route, we can change it fairly easily. Her mother was a customer of ours before, and was always known for being a little crazy. The salesperson put both of them under the same account. Ugh. The other day I got a call from the mother. We are exchanging a table base for her. She starts yelling at me. Your delivery drivers won't pick up my table base because someone at your company is a moron. Why the hell would you send a separate truck to pick up? Damn it. I just want to be done with your company. Okay, that means is anyone there competent at all? Oh, hell no. Let me see what is going on then. I look up her account. See, my boss put it on the delivery for her daughter. Okay, let me reach out to distribution and damn it, I am done with your goddamn company. I do not want them here anymore. She proceeds to go on. Ma'am, the longer you keep me on the phone, the longer it is going to take me to resolve the issue. And another thing, why the hell are you delivering my daughter's furniture to my house in June? I don't want to see you again. Change the damn address. My God, you are incompetent. She's not even closing until September. At the time of purchase, your daughter didn't have an address, so we used yours. Second, we can only schedule out 3 months in advance. The system prevents that. Third, the table base will be picked up today, but only if I can get off the phone with you and call distribution. Ugh, fine. Just as long as I don't have to see your trucks again. You know this is the 4th time they have delivered this junk. I hope my daughter doesn't have the same issue I did. Ugh. I'll call you back. I hang up. Got on the phone with distribution. They pick up the base. I call her again to tell her. They've already left. Okay. She hangs up. Okay. The next day, daughter calls. I brace myself, but never expected this. My name is Janine, and my father's wife called the other day, and then texted me all freaked out about a delivery that's going to her house in June. I'm beating my head against a wall. Ah, yes, I informed your mother, sorry, your dad's wife, awkward, that we're only able to schedule things 3 months out at a time. The system literally will not let us. I also informed your mother at the time, or your father's wife, that at the time you purchased, you never provided us an address, so we just used hers. Ah, okay, that makes much more sense. She proceeds to give me the information I needed. I change it, and everything is good. Alright, we're good to go now. And the reason we are scheduling a date and pushing it out is because the supplies and the merchandise are being delayed significantly due to COVID. We're holding any items that we can to make sure that by the time you do need them, that you will have them. I know that you are not closing until September, but we will keep pushing the date back until September. And then we'll check in with you then. Thank you very much. I'm so sorry about my dad's wife. She's a batty nutjob. She drives me nuts. She's been married to my dad since I was 10, and she and I have had our issues over the years. She goes on for another 15 minutes. A customer approaches the desk. Thank God. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I do have another client I need to assist. I'm glad we could get that taken care of. Thank you, redhead actress, and don't pay attention to what that crazy woman says. There was nothing wrong with the other tables. She's just insane. She hangs up the phone. I started laughing so hard after that. I'm going to hell. 2. Between 2015 to 2020. I was schooled in a big local town near me in Denmark. Last I checked, about 50,000 citizens. Not a lot, but a lot for me. And there is this store about 50 meters away from the bus station, which I have taken twice a day to go to school and home. This store, of course, is the store that is the center of all the what am I even doing talking to this nuthead feelings of my life. There are more stories than I could ever hope to remember. Hell, even some that I wish I could remember just so I could think about them to get laughs when sad. Keep in mind that all the stories take place in Denmark, and in story 3 there is a product I don't think other countries have. Futex is the name of the store. my local store, and everyone knows me. They don't have a set uniform, unless I'm dumb and don't realize they do. Also, I don't wish to cause hate to the store, nor the employees nor the people who shop there. As each incident has been small, and most times I've just shrugged it off. However, there was story 1, in 2017 I think. I was doing my usual shopping of, oh shit, there's whole 5 minutes before my bus leaves and it's been a long day, let me get an energy drink. Which mainly entails me speedwalking through the store toward the aisle I know oh so well for my caffeinated drink. This time, however, I was met by something I hadn't exactly met before, when I turned right to go down the pasta aisle and noticed a sudden grab of my arm. This confused me, of course, because here I am speedwalking with a gym bag and backpack. I turn to see there's a man holding my arm, and I just stand there silently for a quick second before he says, "Do you know if this is made with natural ingredients? My wife hates it when products aren't made with natural ingredients." I stand there completely confused before I say, "Sorry sir, I don't work here. Would you mind please letting go? My bus leaves in..." I then took out my phone and checked the time quickly, exclaiming, "Oh shit!" as I ran off to get the drink. Keep in mind, if I miss the bus, I have to wait for at the very least 1 hour, and at certain times upwards of 2 hours, with bad phone battery and sometimes in winter season. I managed to get out in time and get on the bus, so all was good. I didn't hear anything from it either, so I assumed he found someone who actually worked there to ask. He seemed nice. When I got home, I told my mom, and she laughed at me, which confused me even more. She told me to look at my shirt, and that's when I realized. My shirt, which I had gotten from my boarding school, was the same tone of blue as a Footex shirt, and had white lettering on it just like Footex does. Of course, being with the school name and not Footex. But what was worse was that on my back, my name was on there too. This essentially became grounds for me to believe my shirt is the reason I get pulled for anything in Footex since then. It's one of the more fun ones. There's been a lot of ones which are exactly like the usual "do you know where this is and this is?" which mostly tend to be elderly people, so if I have the time I just help them to the best of my knowledge and get on my way. Story 2. This story takes place around 2018, when I had just gotten into college, and was out shopping for an overnight stay at said college. Background info. The study line I was on was called eSport, and mainly focused on a little bit of health as well as math, and meant to attract gamers toward college. In this line, however, our school decided to give us all basically all access key for the school, so we could do LAN parties, practice eSport, and so on, and even told us we could use it on nights, weekends, and so on, even holidays. Needless to say, I, as a laptop user, both then and now, took advantage of that. Even going as far as to once not go home from school for an entire week. I would eat, sleep, work out, shower, and so on for an entire week without leaving school, which was really fun for me. I think I used about half of the 2 years I went there just staying in the eSport room, even after school closing time. A lot of time getting woken up by my early classmate coming to school. But on this particular day, I decided I would use the water boilers in the cafeteria to cook up some carbonara instead of going for pizza or a sandwich. As such, I went down to Footex to get some instant cook carbonara. It seemed fine till I made it to the cosmetics, where I accidentally tipped over some cardboard boxes. I for the life of me cannot remember what they contained. Thinking I would be getting in trouble, I decided to start stacking them up again, as to how I remembered them having been stacked when someone from the store went up to me, and asked why I was messing around in this aisle and not in the electronics. I tried to respond, but was still dazed by confusion and panic. When I've done something wrong, I always panic really badly. Not enough for panic attacks, but rather my mind rushes through how to fix it immediately. "Come on, let's go there already," the store employee says to me as he drags me by my arm. At this point, I've already gotten a bit of a grip on it all and understand what's happening, so I ask him why I would be in the electronics area. This made him a bit confused, but we still went there. When I got there, I laughed instantly. Apparently one of the new employees who had just been starting out had the same hairdo as me. Hair color and the likes. He had confused me for someone else who was actually doing the assigned job already. I simply explained to him calmly that it's fine, and I was just trying to clean up after a mess I myself had caused. He apologized for the incident, and I just went on my way. I could also tell she was holding in laughter from it all. Story 3. The bad one. This story takes place around 2020, when I was in the middle of my exam period. I had been late for my bus from home, and was in a bit of a rush to get to school with a few snacks for the exam on the day, and running for every step I could. Around when I got to the candy aisle, where I'd really just wanted a few Matador mix bags, the medium ones, I was stopped by a woman who I swear must have been named Karen by her parents, because no other word would fit better for how she behaved. I just grabbed the last of the Matador mixes from the shelf, when she also reached in and tried to grab some. Keep in mind, I only took 2 bags. "Hey!" she said slightly in my direction. "Hi, what's up?" I say as I'm holding the bags in one hand and checking the clock on my phone in the other. I had my entire route timed to the point where I could actually figure out where I would be at school within the half-minute, so I needed to keep my eye on it. "How dare you take those in front of me?" "I'm sorry, what?" "I need those for work. I have to have my Matador mix or I won't have a good day at work. Hand them over." "I'm sorry, I need these for my ex—" I try to finish to keep walking and she interrupts me. "And I need them for my work, you spoiled brat." She's now trying to grab out for them. I, of course, just take a few steps back. And in a moment where my brain must have been fueled by some kind of Jesus juice, I respond with, "And I need these to make it through my exam so I can get a fucking career. So go get some elsewhere," as I start dashing towards the energy drink section and then out, practically swinging the drinks from the aisle as though I was in a tag race. I think that's what it's called. I safely made it out of the store, but after my exam, I went back to the store to ask if there was anyone who had acted rude or anything, within the time frame matching to it, and was told that some lady had literally knocked down products, yelled at customers and employees over Matador mix. This made me laugh a little bit, but then they mentioned something that made me straight up tear in laughter. The man I was asking all of this had been the one stalking up the aisle that morning. Apparently, he had about 20 more Matador mixes that were going there. So, if she had just waited maybe 5 minutes, she could have gotten all the Matador mix she wanted. And what makes it even worse, Futex isn't your typical mall or anything, and doesn't have security guards, meaning the ones who were called to clean up were the police. I don't know if she was charged, however. 3. Hey, nice to meet you all. Alright, so being a Canadian, y'all know we use the vernacular A lot. So what I'm going to tell you next will make sense. I worked at a place that was nowhere as safe as it claimed to be, and had the last part of it rhyme with A. We were in what was designated as the red zone, meaning we were a hop and a step and a full cartwheel tumble from the bumhouse. And though our only protection was a worn-out old guy in his 70s who'd done security for some rock concerts. Not that I didn't trust the fella. He was kind, and old guys can be badass. But when I tell you about this story, you'll know why I didn't think there was much in the way of security. Now, our security buddy, he showed me a binder once when I asked about why he couldn't do much more than follow perps around the store, you know? Thieves and junkies, the drags. Got so many corporate memos in there that you could choke a mule. So with that, the real lowlifes could run around the store and do whatever they liked. Got told these rat-sniffing screw-loose pilferers exchanged things like baby products for drugs, so that's why it was so popular. And me, I was a cashier that had been doing the business for around 5 years, and didn't really give a crap anymore. We had the bathroom door locked up every other day after someone shut up in there. I stopped old guys and wife-beaters from scaring the new help that'd likely rotate out because they couldn't handle it. We had managers that were high, managers who were never around, spooky vaudeville managers that would ambush you in the weird places, asking you the strangest questions. Rooms that didn't quite seem to fit in with the rest of the building. When you went into work there, you knew something was going to be wrong in your day. Hell, I even heard from one guy that it used to be worse, skulls getting bounced and inter-employee romances. Anyways, since I was in my early 20s and brave as all get out, these mooks decided they wanted me on night shifts. Yeah, the real dangerous times until 12 a.m. when all hell lets loose and nobody but the finks and the scavs are running around. This is when the real witching hour comes about, people in hoodies sneaking behind aisle walls. Pairs whistling at each other like lookout for when security comes onto them. people hanging around the glass front casing the joint. Nothing is too uncouth for these guys. So one night, there I am, standing around like a brainless idiot because there's literally nothing left to do. You all know the time to lean, time to clean BS. This is way beyond that, quite literal indeed. Alright, so the clock hits 11, the door's open. In comes the girl. She's wearing a bright white hoodie, not something you see the sneaky types wear. She's all hunched over and her movements jitter like a badly animated PS1 zombie. She's going, but she's going slow. No smell of booze, so she ain't drunk. Casually, I lean up against my counter in the most rebellious move against the lean, clean argument corporate makes, and begin to watch this unfold. Old man security has spotted the tango, so he's in pursuit. As much as pursuit can be called such in this store. She goes down aisle 1 and stops in the middle. All right, I say. What's her game? Arms out, T-pose, dominance initiated. I'm a little impressed. Boom, her face comes out. She's a mess. This girl ain't showered in forever. She's got that ring girl look with the long black hair, and she looks up at the lights and stares, and cracks the biggest open-mouthed smile she can muster. Let me tell you, a bone on this dame does not move. She is a statue bathed in the glory of the light that is he. Standard light fixture. 15 minutes pass before she brings her arms down and the smile fades. Aisle 2 coming up. Rinse and repeat. She does the same thing. And on it goes as I watch from my silent perch. The Scooby-Doo gang of the security guard from Better Call Saul and Manager Shaggy and Vaudeville Manager join in, a little zoinks, to be heard every time she raises her arms up to praise the light fixture. Can I get an amen? Soon we're on the last few aisles. I'm laughing, she's praying, they're spooking, and I'm thinking I'd rather be snoozing. Suddenly, Ranger Security swoops in and he's got a grave look on his face. Hey, aimless facade. We need a presence at the door. Oh man, have I been deputized? Is this my big night? I got to crack skulls with the big guys. Yeah, they want the one big guy with any sort of intimidation over near the door. And who could blame them? So many years working this BS retail, I'd be glad for a fight or something interesting. But I know it ain't coming, as I watch from over at the door now, chosen by the council to be tribute for this week's version of the Hobo Games. Boom, the White Pilgrim hits the last of the aisles, and management finally works up some gusto they'd been saving for a rainy day to tell her to hit the road, Jack. So she buys a 20-cent package of crackers and hoofs it. Only casualty that night was dignity. But you know, I'll always look back on that day and wonder, just what was it that she was seeing in those grossly incandescent fluorescent lights? Maybe it was just something sparkly for her drugged-up noggin whose train had left the caboose parked in reverse. Or maybe it was something else. The world will never know. 4. Alright, so to start off, I'm a US Navy sailor, and because of COVID, we aren't supposed to go to restaurants or bars, etc., places with large gatherings. So I decided to go to the store real quick for groceries and go back to base because I had just gotten off duty. Now I changed out of my uniform and into my civilian clothes and got into my car, and just drove normally to Walmart, then to this place called the Fresh Market, which I hadn't been to or heard of before. It's expensive. Now here's where it picks up. So I walked into the store in my work boots, which were very dirty and had a lot of cuts and missing pieces of leather, etc. off the boot, so they're rough but sturdy. I had black slacks because I was just getting groceries and threw them on. I had a turtleneck on under it and my hoodie over that with Aviation Machinist Mate on the back of my hoodie. The front had a propeller and wings, which is our rates. Rate is what we call a job symbol. I'm looking for coffee and filters along with a gift for my girlfriend when I get back to base, to make her day a little better. I also need to get milk and basic stuff for meals. At this moment, I'm in the milk or freezer area of the store, looking at all the different milks that I never knew existed, and looking around at foreign foods and candies that are imported. Cool stuff. Then a lady who was looking at something behind me, I think, walked over as she was much shorter than I am, probably around 5'2". I happen to be 6 feet, and with my boots had just added on. Whack Bitch says,
"Could you grab me the green candy and then get that coffee on the left?"
So I grab it and give it to her, and think nothing of it because she just seemed nice and I was helping grab something. Then I go back to get the milk I chose. I grab coffee and then filters too, and I have a basket. I'm not wearing a giant green apron or khaki pants, or a shirt with Fresh Market on it, so I'm not in military uniform or Fresh Market standard. Now I'm standing in line because only one register was open, and there were only 2 people in front of me. Then the lady I helped came up behind and cleared her throat as to get my attention, when I was on my phone responding to my brother, since he got his Christmas gift early, and I'd want to see him open it since I won't be there to see him open it.
Ahem. Why don't you go open the other register?
I'm not paying attention to her.
Excuse me, hello? You may have gotten off, but you can still speed this line up. I have somewhere to be.
Just realizing she's talking to me as no one else is around us. Sorry? Oh, I don't work here, ma'am.
Well, you helped me earlier, and you were moving things around earlier.
I'd been looking at different milk and other items because it was all pretty cool, and I'd never seen such a diverse selection of anything in that amount for milk, coffee, bubblegum, or anything else. Oh yeah, I helped you grab the 2 items you got earlier, right?
Yes, so why don't you help me again and go open that register?
So at this point I was confused as to why and how she could have thought I worked there, wearing nothing like the uniform there, and also wearing a few items that clearly stated I was in the military, including a belt buckle with my rate, and a mask that literally had US Navy written on it. Sorry, I can't, ma'am, I don't work here. I didn't just get off, I'm here shopping for groceries. Then I raised my basket and tried to act kind again by smiling under my mask, and then I turned back around.
I know you work here, I've seen you before. You have the exact same haircut as last month.
So I had noticed a few guys there did have the same haircut, and I realized because I'm only 19, I'm also the same age as all the workers, except one guy who ended up being the manager. Ma'am, I can assure you I don't. This is my first time being in the store. I'm not even from this state, and I'm in the US Navy. Then I point to my mask, my hoodie, my boots, and my belt buckle, and all of them have something that show I definitely don't work at the Fresh Market, and I'm an enlisted man in the Navy.
I've seen you before, and I know you work here. If you lie again, I will tell the manager. Your generation is so disrespectful and lazy. I don't see how you maintain a job here, any of you.
Now, I have respect for retail because I worked at a CVS for almost 3 years when I was in high school, until I was 17, and finally enlisted. Also, this lady was probably 23 at max. She looked younger than my girlfriend, but I think her height had something to do with it. Listen, lady, I'm trying to check out and leave. I don't work here and never have. I don't see what the issue is. Now, the man in front of me was very old, and he had many items to purchase. So this was going to take a while, which was fine, but she was making it hell.
I'm not a lady. I'm a ma'am.
Good God.
I know you're not in the Navy because I come here every week and I've seen you here for the past month. Now go open the register and check me out or I'll get the manager, because we're good friends and I can have him send you home for the rest of the week. Also, my husband is a general in the Navy, so what you're doing is disrespecting him and me, because that's stolen valor.
Ma'am, I apologize, but I do not work here, and we do not have generals in the Navy, we have admirals.
Well, if you really wanted this, just know it's your fault for not doing your job.
She walks over to the man without an apron, and they turn to face away after she's done speaking, and then he walks over to speak to me.
Sir, did you tell this woman you work here?
No, sir, I've been telling her over and over I do not work here, and I never have.
Well, I haven't seen you before, and I haven't seen you working here before, but she also says you're impersonating a Navy officer.
No, sir, I am a Navy sailor, and she says her husband is a general, but we don't have generals in the Navy. We have admirals, like I told her, and yet she still goes on to say I need to check her out.
Do you have military identification?
This isn't to prove anything against you, I just want to make sure, because we offer military discounts, and using those to your benefit is a crime. So I take my CAC card out, which is also my military ID, A CAC is a common access card, by the way. Then he checks it for a second and flips it over and then hands it back.
I apologize, sir. She just said you were too young to be in the military, and you were just getting off work because you were helping her. And she said she wants to call the police for stolen valor, I think?
She can call the police and I'll wait here. I haven't told her anything that would make her think I work here or that I'm not in the military. I just got off duty as well, so I'm free for the rest of the day. So the lady does call the police, and while we wait, the lady is explaining how she's gonna have me arrested and have her husband come and tell the police I'm faking because he can tell. So the police arrive after only 5 or 10 minutes, and they're talking to me and I show them my CAC, and the two talking to me were very nice and formal, plus one was in the army before he was a cop. Then the one talking to the whack bitch came over and told us she had her husband coming here to prove it, but they had no reason to stay or detain me and, if anything, have her removed for harassment towards me. Then the cop who was ex-army suggested I stay and talk to him because some wives feel entitled and I should see who the officer is so I can ask them for their view and maybe talk to my chain of command if I have to. Then the police leave and I'm there waiting with the manager who probably felt very awkward. Mainly because she was still explaining how the police must not know what military ID looks like. Also, they didn't just arrest me because I wasn't in uniform, etc. Then her husband gets there. Oh boy. So with the military and any branch, there is something called DEP, if you didn't know. Now, DEP is the Delayed Entry Program, which means you've signed a contract for a branch. However, you haven't left for boot camp, and you're not technically any rank in the military yet. You have your contract signed, but you can still get out if you bitch enough.
Honey, babe, explain to this man why he should have this boy arrested.
I'm not a boy, I'm just young. I'm 19, at 6 foot, I'm pale, which might make me look younger, I don't know. And I have a high school kid's haircut. Oh, so you're the guy impersonating a military service member. It's just service member, also your wife told me you were a general in the Navy. The guy was wearing a brand new DEP shirt, by the way, so I was going to tear him up when I could. I am, yeah. So what's your rate and what's your rank? I'm an AD, and I'm a third-class petty officer. Whackbitch's husband now looked a little different. Oh, so you aren't an E? Nothing really? You don't look old enough to be one. Sir, you do realize being an admiral, you just violated the UCMJ, correct? Also, sir, would you mind allowing me to see your CAC? I didn't violate anything and I don't have it with me. Carrying your CAC is part of uniform code because if you have nothing with you, no clothes, no shoes, no anything, you'd better have your CAC. Well then, you're going against the UCMJ because here's my CAC. Also, you say I'm too young, but you're like 22 or 23, aren't you? No, I'm not. I'm not in uniform, and I'm a general in the Navy, not an admiral. So at this point, I was obviously pissed off. Also, when someone like this is trying to tell me off and say I'm not in the Navy with no evidence, along with me having my own proof, then they decide to impersonate an admiral or any rank in the Navy, I'm going to get angry, or angrier. Listen, you're in the DEP program. I know the recruiters at your office. You're not an officer. And if you don't leave right now, I will go to your recruiting office with a picture of you from this store, and I will have you charged against the UCMJ for impersonating an officer, stolen valor, and also wasting my time and everyone else's here. Whack-bitch and her husband look confused, and then he tries to speak. Well, if you're in the DEP program, as someone who outranks you and is a supervisor, you're going to go to your recruiting office tomorrow, and I'm going to be there. And I will explain what happened to them with the police's proof, camera proof, the managers, and more. Then her husband leaves, and Whack-bitch stays, buys her things, speaks to the manager, then leaves.
She told me I should fire you. Also, I'm sorry you had to experience this, sir.
Yeah, I think I'd want to be fired at this point. Also, it wasn't a big deal until she called the police. Her husband, however, is committing a crime doing that, though. Well, if you need any footage or anything of that nature, I can get the police back here. Oh no, I just want him to waste his time. I don't have time to go yell at the DEP guy. Thank you, though. Then I walk to the register. Finally, after 2 hours, and the manager signs into the computer instead, and then lets me leave with like $70 worth of olives, coffee, filters, milk, etc. And my gift for my girlfriend, which was a giant candy cane and a weird chewy candy. I ended up visiting the recruiting office near my base, and I told the chief there and a friend of mine who was working there, who just made first class, so she's hopefully gonna put him in his place. They knew exactly who I was talking about, and my friend is gonna deal with him personally. Mainly because he has a beard and claims his religion makes it so he can't shave, because he believes in Thor and all that. The chief there also said they were thinking he wouldn't have a good time adapting as well, mainly because he's chosen to be a nuke. He was a private construction contractor, so I don't know how well that will end for him. Also still shocks me that he claimed to be a general in the Navy. Out of every fucking branch. Navy. God! A while later I got more information on what this man did after he left. So Monday I went to the recruiting office to talk to an LS1 who was the person that called Whackbitch's husband into the recruiting office that day. I was called then and told to report there. Now I was making sure to be properly squared away and look good, shine my boots a little. Pair that was actually shined. And then I went out and got in my car, and as I'm pulling up to the recruiting office, I see Whackbitch. She is against the car in her phone, then opens the passenger door and gets in and shuts it. Now, I had hoped I didn't get noticed because I didn't have time for her, and so I walk past. Nothing happens, and I get inside. From there in the corner is Whackbitch's husband sitting down at a desk with LS1, and is talking to her while I salute the ensign, and am called over by my friend ET1. She sits me down and tells me, "We haven't yelled at him or anything so far, but his wife was getting pissed because we called him in early, and then chewed him out by saying he was late. Now LS1 is talking to him about why he needs to be early, and he's asking why it's just him in here." So I was looking over, listening for a second, and I had known ET1 for my command, because I had worked in the office she did before she went to recruiting duty, and I kind of took over her spot. Only temporarily, though, as the duty section leader, since everyone was going on leave. Now comes an even better part. That's awesome. But your chief called me in today. Was I called in because I told you about what happened, or is it so I can confirm it's him? Oh no, we want you to confront him since it's just me and LS1 today. We're only in here for the muster and to clean a little before we go, but wanted him to come in before the 96. So then I'm trying to remember everything that was said. Then I have the best parts in my head for what I'm going to use against him. So I got up and ET1 walked over to me with the desk, and I sat down next to ET1 at the desk. "So, Whackbitch's husband, does he look familiar at all?" He looks over and looks back at LS1 and doesn't seem to remember me, because he just shook his head and said no. "Oh, that's funny, because you told us you caught a person committing stolen valor, which, from you having told us his rate, how he looks, his tattoos, and what he was wearing, definitely reminds me of this guy. I have hand tattoos and have the majority of my arms in other places, but he told them about my hand tattoos and I had both. That LS1 fortunately wrote down and read back. So this guy, who is 83 by the way, looks nothing like him? No, petty officer, not at all. I've never seen this guy in my life. Ha! That's actually pretty funny, considering you wasted 3 hours of my time by calling the cops on me, after your wife accused me of stolen valor and working at the fresh market. What? My wife and me don't go there, it's too expensive. He's right, it's too expensive. However, lying to all of us then and there pissed me off as a sign of respect, not just to me, but my superiors, and I try to follow everything by the books if I can. So him doing that was what pulled my pin. Well, I know you went there because you were wearing the exact same outfit, same glasses, same beard, same tattoo, and your voice sounds very familiar. The reason you're here today isn't for a meeting. It's for you accusing me of stolen valor and you being the one to actually be called out for it. He still didn't say anything or change, and ET1 was at this point in a less happy chew this guy out mood, but more in a this guy is actually trying to lie his way out of this, and I'm going to fucking murder him mood. So you can't remember the guy who called you out is, or what he looks like, remotely?
and AD3 says you match the exact shape from look and clothing of the same day you were out there saying this shit.
Well, it could be him. His hair looks like it kinda, but his voice is too deep, and he has the same tattoos, but definitely not the same face.
I was wearing a mask. You weren't. I remember you because I could see it, and yet I kept mine on because I was in a store, and because, being in the military, we're told and ordered to. Which also means you should be wearing one.
Well, I only came in to help my wife, and you started to yell at her.
ET1 and LS1 both look at each other, and then LS1 smiles somewhat out of Whack Bitch's husband's view. You just confirmed that AD3 is the man who was there.
Well, I just recognized him because of his boots and his wrist tattoo.
My sleeves, if I can remember, were down at the store because it was cold. And also, I don't like letting people see any of my tattoos, so the fact he can recognize one on my wrist instead of both of my hands was just mind-boggling. So you lie to his face, then lie to him, and now you're lying again.
Well, I'm not lying, I just didn't realize it was him. Plus, he was out of uniform when I saw him.
Obviously, I was out of uniform. I don't like to go to the store and say I want to look good when I go out and go wearing my uniform, when you're not supposed to be in it in public just to wear. You could be stopping to get groceries, but I wasn't even doing that. I just decided to go get a few things we wanted, and I'd try a new store to see what it was like. Wait, when you called, you said he was in his uniform impersonating a sailor.
Well, I mean impersonating as him wearing Navy stuff and also walking around with his boots on.
Dude, you've just lied to us more times in 10 minutes than they would at MEPS in 8 hours. That was a favor for me. So you called the recruiting office to tell them I was impersonating a sailor when I am one, and you didn't bother to mention you said you were a general. General? Of the Navy? Is what his wife told me, and then he did. Yet, all I can remember are admirals being in the Navy. Maybe it changed overnight.
I didn't say that. I just walked up and said you should take that off.
Your wife yelled at me, I didn't yell at her. You never said to take anything off. You just called me a fake and told me to prove it. Then when I caught you in a lie of somehow being a 20-something-year-old general in the Navy, you denied it and called the cops. If you did this in my boots as an enlisted man, you'd be UCMJ'd, if you even know what that is.
Yeah, the uniform man—
Shut up. Stop talking. You're not staying in DEP, and we are making sure you can't go to the other branches because of this. You've done so much to fuck your chances up that even AD3 gave you multiple.
But I already signed my contract and enlisted.
Yeah, and we can change that, because so far it seems like you're against my Navy and against my sailors and my shipmates. So if you want to do that shit, you can do it on the civilian side.
I haven't violated anything in the DEP rules, though.
Well, harassing my sailors and accusing them of stolen valor violates what I've worked for and earned as a first class, and you're not a sailor. AD3 is, and he's earned his rank and title. You've only harassed him along with your wife. I can guarantee that shit would not have flown with the chief, and you'd most likely be arrested or going to court soon. And you haven't even gone to boot camp, so you wouldn't know some of the traditions any of us have faced so far. I haven't even been through many myself. Yet ET1 is a shellback. She's got her swallow. She's an exemplary sailor. This may have been me going out of what I should say, but it wasn't my plan to judge whether or not someone is a good sailor, or not let alone one of my superiors. ET1 didn't mind, though, nor LS1. Alright, so we're taking you out of DEP, and you can try another branch. But with the shit you've done so far, good luck with getting any of them to sign you on. Whack Bitch's husband nods again and stands up and walks out angrily, and outside takes his DEP shirt off and throws it against the door, then gets in his car with Whack Bitch still on the phone and then drives off. I think that went well, but that guy really did have a few issues and we probably just found them all in 5 minutes. Yeah, but also reacting to something like that reminds me of my kid, and he knows not to be angry when I say no. Either he was a military brat or he was just born into money or something. Well, we're taking him out of DEP. We don't need to deal with any of that anymore. He's already in trouble enough for not mustering, and he's already wanted 5 or 6 other jobs in Nuke. And he doesn't seem to want to give as much to the Navy as he wants to take. Well, then I'm going home, says LS1. I'll see you tomorrow, ET1, and have a good one.
Thank you, LS1. Have a good morning, and I'm going to be getting back to my place to sleep as well. Have a good morning, ET1. And after walking out to our cars, we left, and I successfully got Whack Bitch's husband out of DEP, not meaning to get him out of all the branches, which probably isn't a thing. However, he definitely got what he deserved, if not something lighter, from calling out an enlisted sailor and saying you're an officer in the wrong branch. Thanks, guys. 5. It was a miserable and stormy time at cash wrap in the bookstore I worked in. Holiday chaos was upon us, and the store was crowded. A woman comes up with a stack of gift cards 8 miles high, and she wants varying amounts put on them. The amounts were sorted based on the picture on the gift card. The ones with the kitty all had 15, the ones with the Christmas tree all had 20, etc. Okay, that's not a problem, and that makes sense. She then hands me a list with the amounts versus pictures and tells me to fill the cards according to the list. Okay, but why can't you— Ma'am, where are you going? She walks away. I'm standing there with a line that wraps halfway around the store, and she decides that the best course of action is to leave the registers to who knows where to kill time, rather than stand at the registers. The store manager is standing at the register next to me, and I just look at him helplessly.
Just fill them up, then make an announcement.
So, in between fending off customers who understandably thought my register was free, I swipe the gift cards one after another and get the total. It took me just over 5 minutes. I then say over the PA system, "Would the customer buying the gift cards please return to the registers?" No appearance. Second announcement. No appearance. Alright, cancel the transaction and go back to helping people in line. We could suspend any transaction except the ones with gift cards. For whatever reason, the computer just couldn't do it. Ma'am, I had to cancel the transaction. You didn't answer 2 pages I made for you to return.
What? Couldn't you just have waited for me to come back?
Ma'am, says the manager, let me start off with the fact that I am the store manager, so please don't bother asking for my superior. I am the authority here. Now, it took you half an hour to come back. There are a lot of people that OP helped ring up while you continued shopping. You can either stand at the registers and pay immediately, or you can leave without your purchase. We don't have time for anything else. My cold retail heart did a glorious little dance at the store manager's support. But this is not the end of the tale. Oh no, the most joyous thing is yet to come. The woman is fuming and grinding her teeth loud enough that it sounds like someone put rocks in a pepper grinder. She stands at my register in stiff silence while I ring up all her gift cards yet again, and she pays. Angrily, she takes them and shoves them, poorly, into her purse. As she storms off, about half of them are jostled free and hit the floor. A young man, well-meaning and kind, snatches them off the floor, sets his armful aside so he doesn't take unpaid merch outside, and pursues her out the door. That's the last I see of them for a while, so I assume her snobby butt is rewarded by a generous soul. Things proceed as normal, and then suddenly the young man is at my registers with the pile of things to buy. A clearly defined red handprint on his face and a bunch of familiar-looking gift cards. My eyes go huge and sputter a horrified question about, "Oh my God, what happened to him?" She had whopped him good. The first thing she snapped was,
"I have a boyfriend!"
When he tried to tell her that he wasn't trying to pick her up and tried to give her her gift cards a second time, she whipped around, slapped him, and told him to fuck off. Now he smiled at me and said, "So guess who's enjoying a little windfall?" Since the gift cards aren't like credit cards with no name or identifying information, and are just like dropped cash, he bought most of his purchases on her dime and left a happy man. I think his windfall was somewhere between $50 to $80. It's been a while. And yet there is still more. Over an hour later, she comes storming back, cuts in front of the line again, stops in front of the store manager, and plops the rest of her cards on the counter, and says that her cards were stolen, and she wants the missing cards cancelled so that she gets her money back. She shoves her long receipt in his face and demands that he go item by item, figure out which ones need to be cancelled, and do so. He blinks at me since he witnessed the young man's windfall, and I give him the tiniest evil smile I can and wag my eyebrows at him. It takes him quite a while to go through the receipt, sort through the cards and check the ones missing. It should come as no surprise to anyone that all the missing cards came up as having been used, and there was literally no way to refund her the money. Steam practically screamed out of her ears. As he explained, the gift cards were like cash, and that losing a gift card meant losing the cash too. If she wanted to buy new gift cards and pay the balance, that was fine. But he was unable to discount gift cards, and could not refund her any of the money. She was out of luck. I thought my glee would cause me to explode into individual rainbow gummy bears. She threw a fit, failed to get her way that way, tried tears, failed that way too, and then sulkily decided to buy replacements. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Adventures in Fast Food and Retail, episode 123. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use and sent in stories for use in this video. If you liked the video, then please do hit the like button. By some means, we've tried telepathy, we've tried pets. It's possible, just possible, that actually just clicking it or tapping it with your finger works best. I don't want to be making no dangerous recommendations or nothing, but that is what I hear. Also, click subscribe while you're there if you haven't done so already, if you'd like to see more. Also, I've done this for a while. If you do have a story you'd like to send in, then please do send it along to kingofthecities@gmail.com. All the lovely contact information for the channel, Discord, Patreon, no, not Discord. I generally put Discord out on streams. It's out there. Anyway, Twitter, email, and various other bits and bobs that might interest you. Yes. If anyone's wondering what the candy mentioned in the story were that the lady went crazy over because she couldn't get it, it's made by Haribo. It's not a variety we do have in the UK. Well, I looked it up on Amazon. Over £20 for one bag. No, thank you. It's a big bag, but still not big enough to justify that price. But I do like my other brands of Haribo, though. Cola Balls, Star Mix. Tank Fastics are good. Okay, I'm going to stop talking about candy now. I was wondering what the legality would be of the last story there regarding the gift cards. I think, I suppose the law would vary place to place, but I think since the person who found them, they made a reasonable, at least I think this is how the law is in the UK. If you make a reasonable attempt to return it to the owner, which that person made a more than reasonable attempt, they went out of the way and were assaulted for the trouble, then yeah, I think basically you get to keep it at that point. I was curious about this, so actually I just went and looked it up there, and that's essentially what the law says, at least in the UK, or at least what the general opinion seems to be, a reasonable attempt. So if, for example, you found money on the street, there's a reasonable, if it's a lot of money, maybe hand it into the police, get a receipt for it, and then check back. But it's very unlikely you're going to be able to find the person that dropped it, because anybody could have walked by there. There was, however, a case just a few years ago in the UK where a woman picked up £20 that had been dropped in the shop and pocketed it. She got took to court and got a conviction of that, because it was ruled that because it was found in the shop, that obviously it was likely dropped by a customer, possibly a member of staff, but likely a customer, and they could possibly come back looking for it. So the reasonable thing to do there would be to hand it in. So yeah, I think ultimately the taking her to court over it was wholly unnecessary. I think at worst in that situation, a caution would have been perfectly acceptable. Personally speaking, on the occasions when I've seen money out and about, and I physically cannot make myself pick it up, because my only thought is, well, okay, it's out in the street, there's no way to find who it belonged to, but what if the person realizes and they come back? They might need that money. I've seen that times in the past when I've needed that money, but I still couldn't have lived with it. But if I do know who the owner is, or try to give it back to them, and then I get assaulted for my trouble, I'd be keeping it. Guilt-free. Okay, and with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.